Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats. The show is about to begin. It is time once again to talk about murder. Welcome back to the Arconia, my friends. It's your old pal Jason here. Let's talk Only Murders in the Building, Season 3. Today I'll be talking, of course, about episodes 1 and 2 titled The Show Must... and The Beat Goes On, respectively. Now, I'm going to be doing things a little differently this season. Last season, I was just new to the whole YouTube thing, and really I kind of just rambled on about each episode within my video, talking clues, summarizing the episode, my thoughts on the episode, and it was a mess. So this season, I'm going to be a bit more structured. In the first half of the video, I will talk clues, suspects, and Easter eggs scattered throughout the episode. And then in the latter portion of the video, I will give my thoughts on the episode, like the review portion, if you will. But that being said, before I get started, if you don't like spoilers, you haven't seen episodes 1 and 2 of Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, stop the video now, head over to Hulu, check them out, then come on back and we can talk about them. But now that we're past the spoiler warning, let's get sleuthing, shall we? Now, right here at the top, I want to talk Easter eggs. As you know, within each episode, in the opening title sequence, there is an Easter egg hidden that represents an item, an element, or a theme from that particular episode. In episode 1, The Show Must, right after we zoom in on Mabel's window and we pan up to the rooftops, you'll see on one of the rooftops a string of spotlights that represents Loretta's rise to the spotlight. Then in episode 2, The Beat Goes On. In that same shot, you'll see the two water towers on the sides have blue flames at the top, representing the flame from the torch that Greg uses later on in the episode when he's trying to interrogate Charles and Mabel. Man, these two episodes combined, wow. They were both quite doozies of episodes, especially that first episode. So let's kind of go into what happened here. Picking up where season 2 left off, Ben collapses on stage just after the curtain goes up, and he's pronounced deceased. And that's when things really start to go into investigation mode. We flash back to the table read, where suspects and situations start to present themselves. We meet Loretta, we meet Bobo, we meet Ty, Kimber. We, of course, meet Ben, his brother and manager, Dickie, and his videographer, Taubert, who is documenting his Broadway debut. We also start to see certain tensions develop, specifically between Ben and Loretta, but also, of course, between Ben and Charles, as there's some unspoken thing that we get into later on in episode 2. We also meet the producers, Donna and Cliff, and the stage manager, KT, as well as being reintroduced to Howard, who is Oliver's assistant in this play, and of course his lover, Jonathan, who is the understudy to Ben. So Oliver's spiraling, he's reeling, he decides to have this cast party to try to figure things out and to lift some spirits, and lo and behold, Ben shows up, alive. Apparently he had only been dead for an hour, and they pumped his stomach, and he's fine. And he delivers these apologies to each member of the cast, and that's when we start to piece together some motives. Apparently, he wasn't too fond of how things ended between Kimber and him, potentially a lover scorned. And of course, there was Bobo, who he constantly said no to, and a more no's and not enough yeses might lead someone to snap. Then you've got Ty, who wanted to use his trainer, and Ben, of course, rejected him because he didn't want to share his trainer. But is that really enough motive to try to, take Ben out? Who knows? Then, of course, we've got Donna and Cliff, who he pestered about the dressing room over and over and over. That might push someone to crack. Then, of course, you've got Jonathan, as I mentioned, his understudy, who he wasn't going to let on stage at all. Perhaps he was looking for his chance in the spotlight. Then, of course, you have Charles, who, due to some, at the time, undisclosed reasons, didn't really get along with Ben. And Charles might be the only one there who would have been happy to see Ben dead, which Charles agrees. But the one that gets the most attention is Loretta, who he said he knows a fellow snake when he sees one. So there's something going on with Loretta there, and she doesn't really show much remorse nor happiness when Ben is gone and also comes back. She's actually trying to engage in some relationship with Oliver, perhaps as a distraction. Who knows? Everyone knows his history with investigating crimes, so we'll see. So the trio decide to go out to eat, to kind of talk about stuff. And at that point, there's liquid dripping from the top of the elevator, and then the entire elevator roof collapses, and out falls Ben. This time, he's definitely dead. Now the investigation is back, and of course, it did actually happen in the building. Quick side note, I did not see that coming. I did not see the fact that Ben was still alive the first time coming, and I definitely didn't see him falling from the elevator. That was just, wow. That was quite interesting. Now, of course, then we move forward to Ben's memorial, where Oliver's trying desperately to keep the show going. Mabel's trying to investigate, and she zeroes in on Greg, Ben's security guard, who her and Charles later find out is not his security guard, but actually a stalker, who stole a handkerchief, an opening night handkerchief that Ben passed out to each member of the cast. Now, Mabel, after taking pictures of the crime scene, noticed that Ben was holding one of those handkerchiefs in his hand. So Charles and Mabel are kidnapped by Greg, and he attempts to interrogate them, but they're both rescued by police. It is then we find out that Charles got Ben fired as an 8-year-old boy from Brazos. He was going to be this boy genius on Brazos, and Charles was not happy with his performance, so he told the producers to give him the axe. So he was fired from the show, and that messed with him for so long, and that's why he is the way he is. He blames Charles for everything, and rather than get him fired, which he could have done, he decided then, of course, to make his life a living hell. Now, Mabel noticed that the handkerchief Greg had was Ben's, but who did the handkerchief belong to that Ben was holding in his hands? So Charles and Mabel surmised that it was perhaps the killer's handkerchief. So they're definitely looking for someone in the cast of the show. Now, Oliver, who's spiraling, has a heart attack and is informed that he really shouldn't be doing anything like this. So he is told to take it slow, but he decides not to, and instead decides to turn Death Rattle into a musical. And of course, Charles and Mabel come to him and tell him they're back to investigating, because this is definitely a murder. Now, I have my theory. I'm leaning towards Loretta. When you do a prologue like that, with any character in any show or movie, they are of the utmost significance, and I feel like that's perhaps her origin story. Why she would snap and be pushed to the point of taking Ben out. So I'm going to go with Loretta for sure, but it's still anyone's guess. I'm not counting anyone out. I have learned my lesson from last season when I ignored Poppy, and it turned out she was the real killer all along. So I'm not counting anybody out, but I'm leaning more towards Loretta than anyone else. Now, as for what I thought of these two episodes, I thought they were great. I think it was true to form, bringing the show back. It was good to see it again after such a long, over a year. Seeing the show again. Meryl Streep is an excellent addition to the cast this season. She really brings that gravitas that Meryl Streep brings to every role. It's just fantastic. Paul Rudd is also a great addition this season. He brings a lot of the humor and quirkiness, but he's also really a jerk, which is always a lot of fun to see Paul Rudd play these jerky characters. You kind of empathize for Ben because no one deserves a fate like that, but he makes it really hard for you to root for him in the end as well. Now, I also really feel for Mabel, who's having sort of a struggle on her own, trying to figure out what to do next. I mean, she renovated her aunt's apartment and her aunt sold it, and she's got 4 weeks to move out. She really shouldn't be investigating right now, but this is what she knows. This is what she does, and perhaps through this journey, she'll find out what she's meant to do later on down the road. And of course, Oliver pushing himself to this place where he's stressed and anxious, and he's got a heart condition now. That's going to be very difficult for him moving forward this season, because he could work himself up into a frenzy. Who knows? I can already tell there's going to be a lot of stuff going on this season, just beyond the murder and the cast of the Broadway show being the suspects and all that. There's just going to be a lot of stuff going on, and I'm all here for it. I can't wait. I really enjoyed these first 2 episodes. And those are some of my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Were there some clues perhaps I missed? Any theories you've got? Do you agree with some of the things I said? Am I missing the mark? I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the like button. If you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Click that notification bell so you get updates on all my future videos, especially my Only Murders in the Building videos. You can also follow my social media pages. Links are down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back with episode 3 to talk more clues, more suspects, and more Only Murders in the Building. I'll see you then.